Hey guys, I'm here in New Orleans at Inlo Guitars, and as you can tell, there are some amazing instruments here. So if you're ever in Big Easy, come down and check it out. Now, being in the city of New Orleans has obviously its perks, one of which being you become able to command different sorts of voodoo. And I'm going to use that to try and manifest onto the guitar strings today and show you some of my favorite voodoo tricks on the guitar. All right, this trick is called the PHILX Super Bend. Learned it from my pal PHILX, and essentially what you're doing is getting a bend as you normally would, and I normally do this with 2 strings, like a double stop. So just for an example, if we're in the E minor pentatonic scale and we do this classic blues bend. From there, it seems like we've hit our peak in the bend, but no. We have the super bend capability, which involves holding this bend with your fretting hand and coming back behind the neck and pulling those strings even further. Now, beware of your string tension. You can hear the overtones hit each other. Gnarly. So the bend is happening. I usually target about 4 frets below and kind of grab it with all 4 of my fingers and just slightly, kind of delicately almost, pull it up so as to not be too aggressive and also be in complete control. So this one might be a little bit more alien than voodoo, but the same realm, wouldn't you say? This is a Satriani-inspired technique where we are doing a bit of hammer-on in the fretting hand and applying some furious pick tapping in, it doesn't have to be in the scale necessarily, it actually sounds cooler when it's completely random and almost robotic. So basically what we'll have is just a minor pentatonic hammer-on and frantically and sporadically tapping with the pick on the edge of the pick, just right up against the metal part of the fret. It can be anywhere in the fret, but I like to get right up on the fret itself and just kind of move as quickly as I possibly can. And you can do this in time with whatever you're playing with or completely out of time. It doesn't really matter. As you heard there, you can actually go off the fretboard onto the string itself above the pickups and dial in some truly spooky sounds. And while this works primarily best on the high E string, you can experiment with other areas of the neck and other strings. And you can even apply slides with the pick and you'll find it actually slides on the string really easily. So this is a pedal tone technique courtesy of Eric Johnson. It can be quite mysterious if you don't see what the guitar player is doing. What's actually happening is you're using your pick and your, in this case, middle finger to hybrid pick this phrase. And you can do it pretty much with any sort of lick. You don't have to use this major scale style lick, so you can do it with a minor sound if you want to. process, I would just start with 2 strings at a time, and we'll stick back to this major scale shape, 2 whole steps apart as far as the distance, and then the actual interval is actually starting with a major 7th. And we just go straight down that little box. These pentatonic shapes can be really friendly for licks like this because you don't really have to think about the interval jumps. You can just stick to these box shapes and let your muscle memory do most of the work. And you can just start, again, 2 strings. And then add in a 3rd string. And then add more strings. So this one we call the STEVEVAI RIDDLE, and it's based off the E minor pentatonic, at least this example will be, and we're in the 3rd position of the minor pentatonic scale. And we're just taking this nice little box shape here on the 5th and 7th fret. And we're starting on this 7th fret, and that is where the whammy kind of spurs this phrase into action. So that's really what you're going to work on first. And then it's just a little bit of pull-off action. And there's a little bit of a bend that happens while you're spurring this note into action. So this one I call the Guthrie bendy bend, because we're bending and then we're bending again. And there's a real vocal quality to this voodoo technique. It's almost like not even a guitar. And you'll want to target notes that fall within the scale that you're playing. So if we have just an A major chord, A7 chord to be precise, we can just target this major pentatonic sound. So the actual notes we're playing are, but it ends up. And I like to practice bending by taking a note, going down a whole step, and bending up to that note. And then adding the vibrato at the end. And the technique can obviously get even more emotive if you slide beyond this whole step jump that I'm doing. So something like this. And of course, if you have an awesome guitar like this, you can exercise some of that voodoo.